It's getting to the pointy end of the season in the NPL New South Wales men's competition, with both these two teams still playing for plenty, albeit at slightly different ends of the table. The Wanderers still playing to avoid the drop zone, to avoid the bottom two, especially with the bottom three all locked on points. A win today would certainly go a long way for them. Meanwhile, St George City still in the hunt for finals, having made a late charge off the back of some very positive form. It's the Western Sydney Wanderers hosting St George City live on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel. Will Constantinides here for you at a slightly overcast Wanderers Football Park. The rain from earlier today has stayed away. The pitch has held up exceptionally on the natural grass surface here at the home of the Western Sydney Wanderers Academy. Can make for some excellent zippy football on a nice patch of grass here today. A slight bit of breeze might affect things, but all in all, a nice little wintry afternoon of football set for you here today in Rudy Hill. Taking you through the team news, starting first with the Western Sydney Wanderers. Richie Cardoso's side, well, they come off a valiant scoreless draw against the reigning premiers Rockdale Illingdon last time out, and that'll give his young team plenty of confidence that they can come away with something today against another top half side. A big win in the Academy Derby a couple of weeks back, combined with some close losses, shows that they're not far away at all, but time is running out for them to keep out of the bottom two. Two changes to Richard Cardoso's 11 from the side that drew here against Rockdale last week, with Oscar Morrison and Tristan Arate dropping out of the 11. They're replaced by Nicholas Badalato and Edmund Haddad. Certainly adds plenty, no doubt. So the full 11 for the Western Sydney Wanderers goes like this. In goal is number 1, Tristan Vidakovic. Number 4, Ricky Franson. Number 5, Lachlan Tilt. Number 9, Alat Abdul Rahman. Number 18, Awan Lual. Number 19, Max Haitley. Number 22, the captain, Jesse Cameron. Number 26, Anthony Barbage. Number 33, Leon Alizart. And the new inclusions, number 8, Nicholas Badalato. And number 10, Edmund Haddad. As for Manny Spartanadakis' St George City, what a turnaround it has been from where they were at the start of the season. At one point they were down in the bottom 4, and now they find themselves with a genuine shot at making the finals. It's not entirely in their hands, though. They'll be relying on teams above them dropping points, the likes of Wollongong, who are in action as we speak against the Mount Druitt Town Rangers. We'll be keeping an eye on that game for you. But they'll be hoping for them to drop points along with the other teams ahead of them. A win today will keep them within 3 points at least of the top 6, maybe even less, depending on how the results across the weekend go. St George City move the ball around the back. Here's their lineup. In goal is number 1, Jack Kenny. Number 4, Solomon John Monahan Viker. Number 5, Lewis Michio. Number 9, the man in form, Mark McNulty. Number 10, Paolo Mitri. Number 15, Nathan Grimaldi. Number 18, Gonzalo Agrelos. Vidakovic is under pressure from McNulty, sends him away, and quick feet by the young keeper. The Wanderers are going to play their way through here. The rest of the St George City 11 is number 19, Jesse Foti. Number 23, Dakota Askew. Number 25 is Brody Clarkson. And number 33, back into the 11, is Lewis Curry, who replaced Noah Ovens from last week's team. Grimaldi takes one into the gut, and now the Wanderers are racing away here, trying to play quickly. Cameron cleared away by St George. Their defence has been their key as of late. Clean sheet against Sutherland last week is important, and combine that with the form that Mark McNulty has shown, they've really come into their own this second half of the season. Top 6 race is so congested at the moment, right down to 9th place, which is where they find themselves. Only 3 points back coming into the round. One over the head of Courier. Abdul Rahman is battling for it, has Lawal alongside him as Abdul Rahman tries to go through a sea of St George defenders. Wanderers having a decent look at the ball early. That's the other game important. All bottom 3, or bottom 3 of the bottom 4 rather, in action today. We have not just the Mount Druitt Town Rangers kicking off against the Wollongong Wolves, but Sydney FC currently down at Seymour Shore. They find themselves trailing 2-0. It's a massive result for Sutherland. The other side in the bottom 4, just 2 points ahead of the Wanderers. There's Grimaldi. Knocks it into the feet of Clarkson, and the keeper is the cry from St George. That's what Curry does. He finds Dakota Askew out on that far side. Foti can't get there ahead of Franson. McNulty has picked it up in a good position here for St. George. They've tried to get the pressure going early. It's been a very productive last few games for St. George City. 10 points in their last 15. Makes for 10 points of a possible 15, sorry, in the last 5 games. McNulty was waiting centrally. It's fallen kindly here, potentially for St. George, but the Wanderers are able to clear their lines quickly. Good challenge up the pitch by Michio, and St. George City could just keep things ticking over here. Monahan Viker, him and Grimaldi have been such a solid partnership. It's really developed as the season has gone on. Foti gets a fortunate touch to fall his way. Now he's in a bit of space. Can look to cross here. Takes a deflection on its way through, and that's easily taken by Tristan Vidakovic. Last time they met, it was St. George City getting the better of them. Better of the matchup against the Wanderers. And a tight 1-0 on that day. Here is Vidakovic. McNulty is just there. It's come off the back of Mitri, and for a brief moment, St. George City were looking to press. You can see they're trying really to force an error from the Wanderers. Now they've found their way through. Haitley unable to make much progress. The Wanderers haven't been far away. Lawal has found the back of the net recently. He's in good form. Haddad and Abdul Rahman have also shown good touches throughout the season. This is a massive game for both these two teams, make no mistake about it. Michio just not on the same wavelength there with Gonzalo Agrelos, who was coming short instead of going down the line. Flicked up towards Lawal. Grimaldi goes in strongly. All eyes turn to the assistant referee. It's going to stay with the Wanderers. Cameron looking for options ahead of him. Looks down the line for Lawal, nodding it down well, and St. George City win back possession. Curry. McNulty gets a touch. He's almost looking to link up there with the Grelos. Tight first few minutes here at Wanderers Football Park. As expected, their last game was a real close one. St. George City certainly the favourites. Just in their latter position, but their form as well. And now Haddad has found space, a bit of pocket for him to work with. Askew was tracking back. Michio inverting to midfield. Sends the Grelos out wide. Curry. Grimaldi. And key for St. George City will just be keeping a lid on this Wanderers team when they get out in transition. That's when they're at their most dangerous. If they can keep controlled possession and just stifle any counter-attacks, that won't help. Lawal has pinched it in a good position here for the Wanderers. Lawal getting forward, still 0-1 Lawal. Straight into the arms of Jack Kenny, and for a brief moment, St. George City were caught out at the back. Would have been a goal entirely of his own making there, 0-1 Lawal. We spoke about keeping a lid on this Wanderers team. Giveaways at the back won't do St. George City any favours. They're usually a side that moves the ball quite well, especially through the middle of the pitch. Spearheaded by Paolo Mitri as the attacking midfielder. Clarkson and Curry do well to keep possession moving. Michio. Agrelos at full stretch to keep it with St. George City. Grimaldi asking McNulty to do a bit of hold-up play, and he does that well. Clarkson. Now St. George City have found their way. Dakota Askew. Foti. Has Mitri inside him. Uses him. Paolo Mitri is looking to link up with McNulty. It's still with Curry and City. Clarkson. Mitri. Michio's overlap from left back has put it in a good ball, and Foti was sliding in trying to get there. Would have been an acrobatic finish at full sprint on the volley. But a nice sight there for St. George City. Now they'll just slow things down a little bit. Another wave of attack is coming, and Foti couldn't keep that pass in from Dakota Askew. Just a couple of moments early from St. George City where a few loose passes, a few cheap giveaways, but other than that, probably had slightly more possession. Best chance of the game so far has been that one from Owan Lawal, but Foti can get forward here. Sideline doesn't provide him enough room on this occasion. Haddad has won it back here for the Wanderers. Lawal has Grimaldi on his back. Won it cleanly though, says our referee. Foti has been busy early. Abdul Rahman is forced into a corner. St. George City are doing well to stop the Wanderers, making significant progress. It's only really one or two passes that the Wanderers are able to string together before St. George City promptly win back possession. Cameron. Well worked by the Wanderers. Barbic has found Abdul Rahman. Curry able to stifle that attack, and for a brief moment St. George City had numbers. They'll opt for a more patient approach this time. Mitri. They find their fullbacks well, St. George City. That's been the key in these first 10 minutes, is finding Michio and Dakota Askew in good positions. They sense that's where the space is. Monahan Viker. Grimaldi. Michio, first time ball. This is good from St. George, but Negrelos and McNulty unable to link up there, but certainly see the path forward for St. George City as Badalado knocks in a ball to the feet of Max Hately. Michio goes down the line. This time he's able to find Mark McNulty with a good ball into the box. Agrelos is in support. A cheeky backheel by McNulty will find him. Agrelos, no one was in the box though. And with both left winger and striker committed wide. Things are starting to tick over now for Manny Spanadakis' outfit. Had some massive wins in recent weeks. A tight one against St. George City last week, and then a tough loss in a really important game for the top six. And they went down 2-1 against Sydney Olympic. But before that, they were able to knock off Marconi and then local rival St. George FC as well. Foti goes to ground. Brad Fisher waves away that one. Rowan Fisher, rather, is in the centre tonight. Brad Wright over on the far side, and Lara Hogan on the near. Lawal can't get there ahead of Monahan Viker. Him and Grimaldi have really been physical with Lawal early. We've seen him get out into space. Now it's the Wanderers' turn just to have a bit of controlled possession. Vidakovic. Badalado is showing short, but St. George City have forced the Wanderers wide. Cameron has found Lawal, and there are good numbers here forward for the Wanderers. Haddad. Still here for the Wanderers. They're looking for that cutback. Blocked away by St. George. Here is Badalado. Cameron. Down the line for Haddad. He gets to the byline, cutting it back, waiting for a tap in. And St. George City clear their lines, but for a brief moment, that could have gone into their own net. And St. George City are able to get through that attack, but Well worked by the Wanderers. Max Haitley had a shooting angle closed down, and that was probably their best opportunity when it got out to him. Now they have the first corner of the game. Numbers all around Jack Kenny here. So we're going straight into the 6-yard box. It goes deep instead towards the back post, off the post, and then cleared away. Ricky Franson, I think, was the man who got up for it, and Wanderers are protesting that it should have been a corner. And so St. George City walk away from a couple of big chances for the hosts. And now Jack Kenny is on the deck in some discomfort. He's been great all season as Jack Kenny. And just taking a look, it was a fantastic header by Ricky Franson. Put it in the exact sort of position you want it to be. Just hit it flush onto that far post. Kenny looks all right enough to continue. Monahan Vicar. St. George City, despite having more possession, have certainly the Wanderers that have had the better chances. Franson and Tilt exchange passes. Now here it is with Alizart. It's an errant ball. It's going to go straight onto the feet of Gonçalo Agrelos, and now he's found Mitri. Paulo Mitri deflections back and forth, and now it's the Wanderers who walk away unscathed after a cheap turnover. Askew was found on the switch. Clarkson. The Wanderers have 11 behind the ball. It'll be difficult for St. George City to find a way through from here. Monahan Vicar. Askew tries to put in the ball and waits for it to go out. The backspin keeps it in though. Curry steps in to take over. Curry, the step overs, trying to create the space. Michio is there. And for a brief moment, had that open header, made good enough connection with it, but it was too close to Tristan Vidakovic. But it's been a very open first 15 minutes here at Wanderers Football Park. As expected, really, these sides aren't the best defensively over the course of the season. St. George City conceded the 9th least goals this season. Puts them in the bottom 6 for that statistic. The Wanderers, meanwhile, in the bottom 3 for goals conceded. Pass a metre behind Mark McNulty. His connections on this left-hand side to McNulty have been patchy. At times they found him, and when they have found him, it's looked very good, but just a couple of loose passes here and there. Lual tries to nod it on for Haitley. Instead it goes all the way back to Kenny. The light contact between him and Haitley. Michio. Clarkson gets the call to turn, and here is Solomon John Monahan Vicar. Driving forward and sliding a pass down to Dakota Askew. We've seen Askew get forward plenty, as has Michio. Agrelos gets the call to flick it on and does just about that. Michio tries the creative option to McNulty, who's going to continue pressing here. And will force Tilt to clear it, but now St. George City can try and box the Wanderers in here. Askew getting there ahead of Abdul Rahman and searching ball out to Foti. Only finds the sideline. Has been a tight start here, and game earlier this season was only a 1-0 last season they played some crazy games in 2024. St. George City defeated the Wanderers 5-0 at home. And the Wanderers in the earlier fixture of that year defeated St. George City right here at Wanderers Football Park 6-1. So a total of 12 goals in their 2 games between each other last season. And then this season they turn around and play a tight 1-0. Here's Monaghan Vicar. St. George City find themselves in a familiar position with the Wanderers set deep and no way through for St. George this time. Cameron. Into the feet of Battleado. Gets the call of keeper. The bounce didn't make it the simplest of touches from Vidakovic, but he's good with his feet. There's Franson. Familiar pass up to Lawal. Good touches there, but well read by Monaghan Vicar, and Clarkson comes away with it. Curry. Will take stock in midfield and just play the simple passes. Curry back buzzing around, of course, was sent off for 2 yellows in the space of a minute in the St. George derby a few weeks ago. First for needless for dissent time wasting, and then we got the second yellow for mouthing off to the officials as he was being subbed off. Wanderers breaking forward here. Here is Haitley looking to use Lawal or Abdul Rahman, and Curry was there intercepting. And the Wanderers have had these flashes in the first 20 minutes. Switch finds the chest of Foti. Can take Alizart one-on-one if he wishes, and Alizart stood up this time. Tilt. Vidakovic. See Mark McNulty is tirelessly pressing Vidakovic, Tilt and Franson. Grimaldi gets the better of Lawal again, and now here is Foti charging forward into space. Jesse Foti tries the strike, might fall back post for a Grelos. An important touch there by Cameron to keep it away from him. And so the Wanderers' defence has held true so far. A few of these last-ditch tackles really coming through at important times. And now they'll have to defend St. George City's first corner of the game. Mitri has gone across to take. Here comes the delivery. Agrelos has come short here. He's not picked up by the Wanderers. Agrelos shapes on that left foot and was half between a cross and a shot there. A little too high for someone at St. George City to get up for it. Michio. We've seen him duck inside a couple of times, and he's done well to find Mitri there in between the lines, but you can just see how compact the Wanderers are. All 11 set within 30 yards of their goal. Foti tries to break them down. Might fall kindly here for Michio. Ambitious strike. Didn't sit well for him. And now the Wanderers, despite defending well, this is the trade-off with defending deep, is the counter-attack is quite difficult. McNulty and Foti is looking to tee it up for him. Haddad asking Abdul Rahman to chase. It'll swerve down to Kenny. Had to readjust rather awkwardly. Haitley goes up for it. He'll come down with a 1 Lawal. St. George City have won it back in a good position. Mitri has McNulty to his right. That's where he goes. The flag has stayed down for him. Mark McNulty has overhit that cross. Wanderers will have to try and work their way out of this corner. Cameron with the long throw down the line. Hately has come back down with her dad. And Askew can reset, so halfway through this first period, still no score, but it's been a very open game here at Wanderers Football Park. Both teams have had their chances. An important game for both. St. George sitting in need of the 3 points to stay within touching distance of the top 6. Michio has found McNulty on the edge of the area. Mark McNulty with a quick feet to Mitchery. Disguised that pass well. And again, the Wanderers stand tall at the back. Well worked there. You can just see how dangerous Paolo Mitri is when he picks that ball up in between the space. Now he's come across to take the corner. The numbers are around that back post edge of the area. We'll see if they crash in. They went short to Agrelos last time, who wasn't picked up by the Wanderers. Mitri to deliver. This one is floated up. Vidakovic has to punch. Agrelos and her dad are all tied up, and that one goes the way of Abdul Rahman. Wanderers wanted to go quickly, and referee Rowan Fisher has just told them to take things back a little bit. The rain's starting to fall now at Wanderers Football Park. Hasn't quite stayed away enough. Make the pitch nice and zippy on the great grass we have here. Abdul Rahman is blocked by Grimaldi. It was a strong challenge, but a fair one from the former Newcastle Jet. Abdul Rahman, I'll just have to check on him to make sure he's all right. I think he might have been somewhat winded there by the ball ricocheting back into him. Monaghan Viker and Grimaldi have been unforgiving to the young Wanderers forwards so far. Both very, very experienced. Monaghan Viker has played in this competition for a while, previously of the Mount Druitt Town Rangers. Grimaldi, before he went to the Jets for his A-League stint, was with Sutherland Sharks. Vidakovic has to clear. Hately is unmarked, and he can chest it down well for Abdul Rahman, who's asking a lot of Al-Azhar to sprint down there towards Kenny. So St. George City can get controlled possession again as the ball skips down to Grimaldi. He was looking for that outside of the foot pass. You can see what he was looking for to McNulty, but only scooped it up and out. So how can the Wanderers respond? The last 10 minutes have gone the way of St. George City. They've held more of the ball, but the Wanderers still probably have the better chances from what they were able to create in the first 10-15 minutes. Grimaldi gets the call of time and uses it to play a better pass up to McNulty. Play stays with the Wanderers as Haddad has found Al-Azhar bombing forward on that left flank. Askew, clean defending from the St. George fullback, and he can drive into the space given to him. Askew only picked the feet there of Anthony Barbic, and now it's the Wanderers' turn to get forward as players start to slip a little as the surface and the rain starts to set in. Grimaldi. Michio. Quick check of the shoulder from Clarkson. Realises he has space and realises he has Foti stationed on that right wing. Puts it straight onto his chest. And this is what St. George City are looking to do here with the Wanderers defence set deep. They move it from left to right, then back to left. Agrelos has got on the other side of his man. That cross takes a deflection. It'll be another St. George City corner. As we take this moment to update you on the scores from around the grounds. Sutherland have extended their lead out to 3 against Sydney FC, so that's a massive set of 3 points going the way of the Sharks. We'll keep them out of touch of the bottom 2 for a little bit longer. It means the Wanderers for a win here. Mitri, they go short again. This time the tighter angle. Mitri looking back post. We'll fall top of the box here for Curry. Chests it down. Was looking for the pass forward, and now the Wanderers could think about getting forward on the counter here. They have the numbers to go with it. Haddad rides the challenge, gets it towards Abdul Rahman, and now they'll come back for the foul. Grimaldi is pleading with the official that there was ball there, but there may have been a touch of the ball, but there was plenty of contact, no doubt. And Rowan Fisher is telling him as much. You can just see what the danger is with the Wanderers. When they do get forward on the counter, that's when they can start to look very good. And taking a look, Grimaldi did go to ground. May have got a touch of the ball, but he went through Haddad to get there. And so now the Wanderers have a deep set piece to work with. Just one in the wall here for Kenny. He's stationed a decent way off his line. Badalado puts it in. Ricochets in the area for Alwan Lawal. Great save by Kenny. And then headed in by Haitley. The Wanderers have taken the lead. The chances have been piling up, and now they get one to go. A great save initially by Kenny. But Haitley wasn't to be denied on the second attempt. Just had to head it into an empty net. And the Wanderers take the lead at home. It pinballed in the area. Lawal got a good shot away. And then Haitley was charging through. He was first to it. Had the simplest of finishes. Third goal in all competitions for Max Haitley this season. An important goal it could be as well in the context of this relegation battle. Just his second start in first grade, Max Haitley. He has popped up with his first goal in first grade, a special moment for him. He scored a couple in the 20s as mentioned, and now he gets his one at the top level, and it means it puts the Wanderers 2 points ahead of the bottom two on the live ladder. Coming into the weekend, both the Mariners and Mount Druitt were tied with the Wanderers on 18 points. The Wanderers were only ahead because of goal difference. Askew puts in a low-driven cross, cleared away by Leon Alazart. And so the Wanderers on the live ladder sit 2 points above the Rangers. Still locked at 0-0 against the Wolves. Great touch, and now St. George City put it back post. This relegation battle has been just as exciting really as the premiership race, the top six races. Well, we've been fortunate enough this season to have a genuine contest at all three ends of the table. The Wanderers looking to secure their survival. Askew, St. George City will look to click into another gear. They know they need to up the tempo with the way the Wanderers have been set. Foti looks to go at his man, is held up by Alazart. Now he checks back. Askew looking for McNulty, instead cleared away by Cameron. He's lifted from Lawal, and eventually Badalado just gets it out of there. Kenny has to race up to get it. Great pass up by Kenny. It's going to go straight up to the feet of Michio, who's controlled while was backpedaling. Couldn't match the quality of the pass from Kenny. Haddad has been found between the lines, and he was looking for Lawal, but Lawal was a little more centrally than where they were looking to get to him. But all in all, it's been a very positive showing from the Wanderers. They've sat in their defensive shape well. They've had decent chances, and Eventually they found one via the set piece. Usually it's the case that academy sides struggle to score from set pieces, and usually they can see quite a few just because of the physicality difference between the youngsters and the more senior teams. Grimaldi nodding it down to Clarkson. Curry knows there's a man coming as well. Askew has to go up ahead. Alizart slides in to intervene, but can't keep that out of play. Grimaldi. Monahan Vico. Foti. Seen plenty of the ball, but again, it's the case for St. George City that this low block of the Wanderers is proving to be very hard to break down, and especially now the Wanderers have taken the lead, it's going to be even harder. But I don't think Richard Cardozo's side will want to sit back for the rest of the game. They know that St. George City have the weapons to make them pay, especially on the form that Mark McNulty is in. Here he is on the ball now. Was looking for a Grolos. Tilt. Under no real immediate threat, can just assess the options ahead of him. Uses Nicholas Battalato. Askew. Curry. He's a man that can make things happen. Lewis Curry almost dispossessed. Now he still has possession. Grimaldi stepping forward. McNulty on the edge of the area looking to turn. Franson shut him down though. And Franson and Tilt have had their hands full with Mark McNulty, who's tied second in the Golden Boot race coming into today's game. 3 other players are tied with him. Akubo, Olsen and Conestabro all tied with Mark McNulty for 14 goals on the season. And then up ahead of them is the Baker, Alec Yurshevsky with 22. Haddad. Marshalled back by Mitri. Darkovic. Just to go quickly with McNulty hunting. St. George City have won it back in a good position. Can they make the Wanderers pay as they're caught out? Foti goes down. And it's going to be a free kick right on the edge of the area. And a booking for Leon Alizard, who was just caught there on the wrong side of Jesse Foti, who had plenty of pace to exploit the space given to him. And was very lucky that didn't give up the penalty there. Right on the edge of the area. And meanwhile, there's been a goal over at Popondetta Park. The Mount Druitt Town Rangers have taken the lead against the Wollongong Wolves, which now makes the Wanderers getting a win here even more important. So on the live ladder, it's 21 points for both the Wanderers and Mount Druitt Town, and then the Mariners, who are to play tomorrow against Rockdale on 18. This relegation race is getting better and better by the week. What will St. George City have to say about that? They've got the free kick in a good position here. They look edge of the area for Mitri, who knocks it into the area. Franson clears out of the box, and now the Wanderers can think about breaking forward here. Abdul Rahman is in plenty of space, has Lawal alongside him. Alat Abdul Rahman goes to strike himself. Palmed away by Kenny though. And I think he was in two minds there, Alat Abdul Rahman, about whether he wanted to go himself or whether he wanted to try the pass to Awan Lawal. But the fact that St. George City and both the Wollongong Wolves are losing right now is great news for Sydney Olympic. It will cement their position inside the top 6. They're 4 points ahead of St. George City coming into this game, 3 points ahead of the Wollongong Wolves and Sydney United 58. And United, of course, won't play this weekend because of their Australia Cup commitments. They'll have to play a midweek game. So things getting very interesting on your Saturday afternoon, of course. 3 of the bottom 4 would be picking up points today, with not just points, rather a win, with Sutherland winning, Wanderers and Mount Druitt both currently in front. This was the case a year ago as well with the relegation race. All the bottom three just started picking up points at the end of the season. Tilt. Great touch by Haitley to get away from the defender. An even better pass to finally on Alizard. Open on the far side. Alizard, early ball. It's going to go back to his fullback, Cameron. Keeping it down for Abdul Rahman. It was shut down immediately there by Curry. McNulty couldn't get there ahead of Tilt, and it's bounced back down to Cameron. Quick touches by the Wanderers midfielder, and Nicholas Badalado means they'll keep possession. With under 10 minutes to go in this first half, it's Richard Cardozo's side that are looking for just their second win at home this season. They've only had the one win at home all year, which was back in round 10 in a 2-0 win against Manly United. They've been winless in their last 7 home games. But they've shown the flashes, and his performance so far has been very solid. Foul goes on one hand. Viker coming through the back of Nicholas Badalado. Ball between both teams as Askew brings it down for Clarkson. St. George City, their midfield has been able to keep the ball, but have been disrupted in the final third by the Wanderers, who have certainly done their homework here tonight. And have kept Mark McNulty very quiet. It's something a lot of sides haven't been able to do this season, especially over the last few weeks. Mark McNulty has 9 goals in his last 9 games. Curry. Here is Monaghan Viker. They move the ball around the back 4 again. Foti looks to get around Alizard, who is on a yellow card, of course, but that time his defending is very clean. Lawal isn't allowed to turn. Searching pass out to Haddad will skip out over the sideline. It's been a crazy scoring streak for Mark McNulty over the last couple of months. As mentioned, 9 goals in 9 games, 14 for the season. He scored in his opening game, and then he went on a drought of 8 or so games, and since really round 17 has just come alive. And his efficiency combined with St. George City defending well has got them in a good position. Mitri is looking to tee it up, and it's good hold-up play by McNulty there. Meanwhile, the Wanderers are thinking about the counter. Abdul Rahman has to track back. Alizard is looking over the top for Max Haitley, who instead wanted the ball to feet. Kenny. Monaghan Viker. Askew. Not the first time we've seen him get this far forward. McNulty leaves it smartly for Mitri. Paolo Mitri sliding it out for Agrelos. Rattling the frame of the goal. Probably the best chance of the game for St. George City. And it's off the back of some fluid football down the wing. Askew did well to find Mitri. And Mitri moved it for Agrelos. Was lining up. And another goal which will please Wanderers fans out at Popondetta Park. Wollongong Wolves have equalised against the Rangers, so the 2-goal buffer between the Wanderers and the bottom 2 is temporarily restored. The rain has slightly subsided now. It's just a slight sprinkle. Wanderers are certainly playing very well. They'll be disappointed to have conceded that chance, but Sometimes you have to ride your luck a little bit. St. George City conversely be feeling that they're not far away from getting a goal at all. They've shown enough, that's for sure, as Curry exchanges passes with Mitri in midfield. Now here is Agrelos. He's been looking dangerous down this left wing. Curry is buzzing all over the pitch at the moment. Now there's been a bit of a mix-up in back play here between Franson and McNulty, I think. It was off the ball. Didn't quite see what happened, but there were plenty of shouts from the back line, and then McNulty and Franson got tangled up. Franson hit the deck. And so now Rowan Fisher goes over to have a chat to Brad White, his assistant referee on the far side, as to what exactly happened over there. And so what's the outcome going to be? Looks like it'll be a red card for Mark McNulty. The St. George City number 9 has been sent off. Meanwhile, Franson, I think, has received a booking there as well. Just a yellow card for him, and St. George City find themselves down a goal on the score sheet and down a man on the pitch. And it's not the man they would have wanted to lose as well. I was trying to take a look back on the stream as to what happened. It was all off the ball. St. George City were playing with the ball in the left wing, and then there were big shouts from the back. Unfortunately, looking back on the stream, can't quite see what happened on that incident, but for Mark McNulty to receive a straight red was must have been a serious offence off the ball. And now there's some extended discussions happening over on the far side. Manny Spanidakis is talking to the fourth official as to trying to protest his striker's innocence, but all of a sudden the task has become all the more difficult for St. George City to lose their leading scorer on the season, the man that is responsible for 14 of the 38 goals this season. That's just over a third of their scoring output comes from just him. So now we tick over into stoppage time here, but St. George City would have wanted things to go, and they find themselves a very tough task, especially with the way the Wanderers have been defending and sitting deep. To get through them now, down the man will be even more difficult. That some of those spaces that were there won't be there now. They look to exploit one on the wing, but it rolls out of play. Here is Tilt. Now Franson, the Wanderers will be happy just to get to half-time with how things are. A goal up, a man up. Things are looking very positive for the side currently sitting 2 points ahead of the relegation playoff spot. 3 points ahead of the automatic drop zone. As Michio gets there ahead, but can't quite keep it in for Agrelos. Kenny. So rather Vidakovic. Now here is Franson. Wow. This is the target. They'll only find Grimaldi. All eyes on the referee, Rowan Fisher, as to how much time we have left. We should have a couple minutes because of the injury stoppage briefly to Jack Kenny, and then the red card for Mark McNulty. Abdulrahman links up well with Lawal. Him and Michio are all tangled up together. And so it's half time here at Wanderers Football Park. An eventful first 45 to say the least. Wanderers took the lead just past half an hour, courtesy of Max Haitley getting his first goal in first grade in just his second start at this level. And then a couple of minutes ago, it was Mark McNulty who was sent off for a straight red for an incident off the ball. And that has St. George City trailing at the break and with a tough task ahead of them. Meanwhile, for the Wanderers, they'll feel good about how things are going and will be looking to push their advantage in a game that means plenty for them and their chances of survival. I've been Will Constantinides at the halftime break. We'll see you back soon on the other side of this quick break. Welcome back to the second half of football here at Wanderers Football Park, and the second half is set up very nicely for an entertaining one. It was an open first 45, so George City find themselves in a tough position to keep their hunt for the finals alive. The Wanderers, conversely, are looking to put a bit of breathing room between them and the bottom two, but just before the break, Mount Druitt Town Rangers were able to get another goal against the Wollongong Wolves, so on the live ladder, that means 21 points for Western Sydney Wanderers, 21 points for Mount Druitt Town Rangers, and 18 points for the Mariners behind them. That's how things shape up down the bottom. Meanwhile, for St. George City, they have work to do here. Finding themselves down a man after Mark McNulty was sent off for an incident off the ball. And without their leading scorer. For them on the live ladder, they are now 4 points off the top six, which would be with only 3 games to go after this one. Reminders, round 27. Getting to the tight end of the season now. Only 3 games after this one. A single win. Feeling either like a massive boost or a killer blow, depending on which side you're on. No changes by either team, it seems. We'll keep you updated on any of those if they appear. Looks like actually St. George City have made a change at the break. Franson heads that back forward. Looks like Dom Cox has entered the pitch. He's on the ball now. Meanwhile, cleared away by... St. George City can move the ball around the back. Here is Askew. It actually looks like Mitri has been the one to be substituted. Meanwhile, Curry, good feet to get past Alizart. Still Lewis Curry looking for Foti centrally. St. George City, despite being down a man and keeping the intensity up. Askew. Goa Alizard, a reminder, he is on a booking, as is Franson. Clarkson and Cox exchanging the ball between themselves. Curry. Askew has space to attack now. He puts in a searching ball. Back post for Michio, who was arriving late. And nodded away by Cameron. It'll be a St. George City corner. So they'll be happy with that. Despite being down a man, they can keep pressing forward from this set piece opportunity. Askew will make the long journey from right back all the way to the left side to get this one. So can St. George City, the 10 men of St. George City, find their way into this contest? Askew. A good ball in is right on Vidakovic, but it's into his arms. And good keeping from the Wanderers gloveman. Looking for back-to-back clean sheets. The Western Sydney Wanderers haven't done that all this season. Good feet by Alizart, but Cox was there to mop up things for City. There's been a second change as well for City. Looks like Noah Ovens is out there. We get confirmation of who he replaced in just a moment. It's actually Gonçalo Agrelos who has come off. It's pushed Dakota Askew further forward. This ball floats up for Michio, is asking a bit of him, and it floats out for a goal kick. So a couple of changes swung at the break by Manny Spanidakis. It actually looks like City are playing in some sort of back 3, back 5 at the moment, with Grimaldi, Monahan, Viker and Ovens as the centre-back trio, and then Michio and Askew fullbacks bombing on. Of Jesse Foti playing centrally as a 9 now, with Cox, Curry, and Clarkson behind him. Askew checks back inside now. He goes on his left foot. Michio is there. He's looking for Curry to keep the attack going. Instead, the Wanderers are able to clear their lines. And so when you look at this setup from St. George City, they should be all right to continue, despite being down a man. The width is going to come from Michio and Askew. They've sacrificed having wingers to push those two further forward, which might create spaces at the back, but when they're down a man and in need of 3 points to keep their postseason hopes alive, these are the risks that Manny Spanadakis and his coaching team are going to have to take. And 5 minutes gone here in the second half. You wouldn't know they're down a man. They've been on top in possession. Curry searching ball, and that's welcome news for the Western Sydney Wanderers. They're happy to let that roll out of play. Tilt. Back with Vidakovic. Now he launches one up. Awan Lawal is going to sit with the wind. Monahan Vika has time and goes back to his keeper Kenny. Grimaldi. Curry gets the call to turn. Now they try and make their way through midfield before the switch comes to Dakota Askew's feet. Cox is up ahead and he was racing away had it not been for that intervention by Leon Alizart. Dakota Askew just showed a little too much of it there to Alizart, but there are ways forward for this St. George team. Don't be fooled by the fact that they're down a man. Can definitely cause problems here, especially if the Wanderers are to sit back, but Grimaldi bounces kindly for Askew and stays with St. George City. They've virtually had entire possession of the ball in the second half. You wouldn't expect it given they're down a man. Cox tries to use his fresh legs to win possession back. Instead it's Haitley and Abdul Rahman that come away with it, and attracts the attention of the referee. So Wanderers are in no hurry to push the effort. They can just keep the ball, but if they're going to give St. George City as much of the possession, and St. George City will certainly have chances. They would love a second goal to create a bit of a cushion for themselves here. Grimaldi is pleading that his last touch came off Haddad. Lawal is looking around the corner for one of Haitley or Abdul Rahman. Instead it's City. Askew looks at the options ahead of him, decides to drive forward into the space. Now plays Foti with his back to goal. St. George City looking very solid in possession despite the disadvantage. Foti is at full stretch and couldn't quite get there. A good pass by Michio, but there is plenty of cause for optimism amongst those in the white shirts right now that they can find a way into this if the deficit just stays at 1. Strong by Tilt, and now he might attract the attention of the referee. Walks away with just a warning. So Curry stands alone. They go quickly though, and the referee did signal to him to wait for his whistle. So Curry won't get the benefit of the quick free kick. Now things are all set. How will St. George respond? Wanderers took the lead from a set piece in the first half. Curry lofts one up, goes overall, and Noah Ovens will have to track out to the sideline to retrieve. Keeps it alive with Dom Cox. Cox swerving a dipping ball, going to ground. Here is Solomon John Monaghan, Vicar, and now it goes in. The 10 men of St. George City have equalised. And it has been coming. They have been putting on the pressure. And it comes by way of a set piece. Took a couple of deflections on its way to get there. But Monaghan Vicar won't care. Well worked back to Cox, who put in a dangerous ball, was swerving and dipping. It was awkward for Franson. Monaghan Vicar picked it up. Another deflection on its way through. And it got the better of Vidarkovic. Before Tilt, I think, tried to clear it off the line. And now we have a real contest on our hands. Exactly what St. George City needed. And now Foti is clattered through the middle of the park. Just the second goal of the season. Monaghan Vicar, he's a very sturdy central defender. Not known for being a goal-scoring presence. That is a huge goal as well. It keeps St. George City's final hopes slightly alive here. They're only 3 points behind Sydney Olympic on the live ladder. And now they're looking to drive forward. A reminder, they're down a man here, but they have all the momentum. Askew looks to go at his man. Dakota Askew puts in a good ball in himself. Cries of handball, waved away, and Cox had a flash shot at goal. Now Wanderers are really on the ropes here. St. George City are putting them under heavy pressure. Not what Richie Cardozo would have wanted from his side to start this half. It seems like Wanderers are the team with 10 right now if you look at the way these two are playing. Can they get another from a set piece here? Curry. Now it goes in. Monaghan Vicar tries to get a touch to it acrobatically. Eventually Lawal clears. And anywhere will do, as Haddad has to do a bit of work in isolation. Haitley. And Wanderers eventually clear, but Clarkson, an important touch. Some good changes at the break, it must be said, by Manny Spanadakis. The switch in formation combined with the addition of Cox and Ovens has really kept things in a good spot here for the visitors. Ovens has freed up Askew to really cause problems, and here he looks to go again. That time Alizat stands up well. Haitley, it's allowed to bounce. Grimaldi sends it back up into the night sky. Lawal is looking to break free of Grimaldi. A slight little shove there. And that's going to get the referee's whistle, and no complaints there, I think, from Milan Lawal. And so a double change comes for the Wanderers. Haddad is off, as is the goal scorer, Max Haitley, it seems. So his night comes to an early end after getting his first goal at first grade level. Dallas Sandy is one of the substitutes on. We'll get confirmation of the other in just a moment. But you have to sense that's a reaction to going back on level terms. Tristan Arate is the man who has replaced Haddad. Arate started last week. Has to make his way off the bench, but it's a tough task for the Wanderers. An awkward spot for them to be in, having made the most of their chances in the first half, but have just given up too much despite being up a man in the second. As Abdul Rahman looks to turn, but Monaghan Vicar goes through him to get the ball, and cleanly. Alizat now. Arms go up as he looks to catch Kenny off guard. Easy Keeping work for him. Franson lets it bounce. It's going to roll back down to Tristan Vidakovic as we tick to the hour mark now, but a very interesting game here at Wanderers Football Park. And so on the live ladder, Wanderers are currently in the bottom two. Mount Druitt, 21 points in 14th place. The Wanderers, 19 points in 15th place. And the Mariners still to play tomorrow with 18 points. As mentioned, St. George City 3 points behind Olympic right now. They're looking to go potentially just one if they get a win. Michio is out there, was looking for Curry to continue his run. Those two teammates weren't on the same wavelength on this occasion, but all in all, the wingbacks have been on point for Manny Spanadakis, but they have to be careful that they don't catch themselves off guard. St. George City just delay the attack to stop Wanderers breaking forward on the counter. Meanwhile, here is Leon Alizart. Early cross is blocked by Askew. It's full time at Seymour Shore. Sutherland Sharks have trounced Sydney FC Youth 4-0. And that could be an important win, not just in terms of points, but in terms of goal difference if it comes to that for the Sharks. That win, though, puts them 5 points ahead of the Mariners in bottom spot, 4 points ahead of the Wanderers right now. Creates some much-needed breathing room for the team from the Shire. Meanwhile, another substitution is waiting in the wings for Manny Spanadakis. We'll get to that in just a moment. As Lawal holds it up for Badalato. Haddad. This is good from the Wanderers. Cameron. Arate. Abdul Rahman goes down. A slight suggestion of foul. Instead, it's going to end with a goal kick. Referee ruling that he went down a little too easy there. Franson at full stretch has to get back to it, and Foti was hunting for a loose ball. Franson. Abdul Rahman in a bit of space before it's shut down by Cox. Alizart takes over though. Leon Alizart can try and pick out a pass here or go himself. Sent away by Grimaldi. And now it's St. George City's turn to sit back in. It's been 17 minutes gone in this second half. And for the first time in the second half, the 10 men of St. George City are forced to retreat back into their shell a little bit as the Wanderers try to regain their ascendancy in this game. Abdul Rahman shut down by Monahan Viking. What a game he is having. Not just his goal, but he has been extremely solid at the back and hasn't given all that much for the Wanderers attackers to work with. Important to mention in terms of the record between these two teams, St. George City have only lost once to the Wanderers since both these sides have been in the NPL. Enjoy a great record against the academy side. So they can continue with possession. Here is Ovens. Monahan Viker. Here he is. Noah Ovens. He's getting coached through it by Dakota Askew. I don't even know what options he has as Cox is looking for Michio. That time nodded clear. So now that substitution goes through. This will be a like-for-like swap in attack, you'd think, with Jesse Foti coming off and Levi Shuriaga coming on. More fresh legs for the Wanderers to try and contend with at the back. So looking set for a rather exciting finish here at Wanderers Football Park. Monahan Viker chips the ball over the top, intended for Askew, but it's got a bit too much power on it. Alizart. Now, Alazard will get told to just take things back a little bit. Askew is right on the touch of Dallas at Indy and it's forced a turnover. Here is Michio. Can hit them from range. We saw that against Marconi, but that one is a rather tame effort. They found the open man here, the Wanderers, and they can try and burst forward with Arate. Cox goes in late and goes in illegally, says our referee. Sandy, Alazard, Lawal. Haven't seen all that much of him. Now you can try and turn with Monahan. Viker committed. He goes to ground as Cox lunged in and caught him on the way through. So Cox is going to receive a bit of a talking to here, but the Wanderers have their eyes on this set piece. Scored from a similar position in the first half. Both teams have scored from deep free kicks here. And both from the recycled ball, not from the direct attempt. Battleado. Deep crosses out back there, and now it's pinballing around in the box. Cries of handball. The shot comes in and it's skied by Abdul Rahman on that left foot. Couldn't get over it. Would have seen it late. It was lashed back towards him. Just needed the deftest of touches there, Abdul Rahman, but had to contort his body back to get to it. And so St. George City walk away from this one. Kenny taking no chances, will go long here. Deep free kick. Corner goal kick rather, is now Shuriaga. Franson is clean. A reminder that both Franson and Alazard are on yellows from the first half. Curry has gotten past Alazard. Lewis Curry is looking lively here. He gets to the byline, goes up for Lewis Michio. Couldn't get off the ground. Now it's back with Grimaldi. Low driven cross sent away by the Wanderers. And they've really nullified this red card of St. George City. Seems like a very even game at the moment. Curry turns, finds Cox. Touch was loose. Stays with St. George City and Askew as Battleado able to win it back. Sandy was the intended target. Askew thought about going, now he does. Shuriaga, his first real involvement here. Shut down well at the back by Barbic. Cox. Shuriaga is under no real pressure here. Has gotten past Alazard, who recovers well. Cox is frantic here for the Wanderers in defence. St. George City looking for a way through. The 10 men of St. George City at that. Michio shapes the cross, decides against it. Now back to Grimaldi. They'll take their time here, the visitors. All 11 again behind the ball for the Wanderers as Ovens searches for Michio out there. Instead it's fallen kindly for Clarkson and didn't quite catch that well. Was always rising the second it left his boot. Abdul Rahman tries to get around Grimaldi. Just over 20 minutes of regulation time to go here at Wanderers Football Park. Sandy has found a bit of space. Now here is Lawal in his feet. He's been dragged. Sandy tries from range, and that's going overall. That'll have to be collected later. Not how they would have wanted that attack to end. Kenny again will go long, and again they'll take no chances. It's difficult to tell who would be happier with a point here. St. George City have been threatening well in the second half. Wanderers, meanwhile, will feel like they can try and push on for the win, being up a man. Cries of handball. Nothing doing. Meanwhile, Shuriaga is going to try and press up here on Franson. And he's won the ball in a good position here, has Shuriaga. Has Franson over him. Still both players play on, and after all that, it's going to be the St. George City corner. Michio will come across from the left flank. It'll be an in-swinging left-footed delivery from the fullback. All eyes on this one here. What do St. George City have? Can they take the lead despite being down a man? Michio. That's right on Vidakovic. No one was really pressuring the Wanderers keeper there. Curry has the man on his back, but a good touch to evade him. Curry. And Michio. As Curry swings in another ball, this one will swerve because of the wind. Straight into the chest of Vidakovic. Wanderers go quickly, try to catch the 10 men of St. George City off guard. Cameron. Release ball up to Lawal, it is nodded back by Ovens. Solid work from him. Now Monaghan Viker can take the space afforded to him. It's turning into a bit of a topsy-turvy game here. End-to-end stuff. First guess, it would probably favour the Wanderers if the game became more transitional. Still, you never know the way this game has gone. It's thrown up so many unpredicted twists. No one would have thought that Nolte would be sent off for a straight red just before half-time. No one would have thought the Wanderers would have taken the lead after half an hour. Certainly underdogs coming into the game. Meanwhile, Curry has gone down. Him and Franson, and inadvertent coming together, both had complaints. And as Wanderers are forced back towards Vidakovic. Al-Azhar. Abdul Rahman is the free man, but Michio stops the ball getting to him. Cameron. Down the line for Tristan Arate. Good football by the Wanderers. They move it to the other side, and now they have Al-Azhar in plenty of space to drive into. He takes it forward. Plays behind the defence to Abdul Rahman. First time ball, big cries of handball waved away. Top of the box is with Badalato. It was skewed wide. And the Wanderers protest about that handball, but I think the arms were by the body. So here comes that sub. Looks like it's Luis Michio off. Peter Kakaris on. Meanwhile, a double sub for the Wanderers. Leon Al-Azhar, as well as Anthony Barbic, make way. Place Lachlan Henderson. Confirmation of the other one as well in just a moment. Julian Koch is the other substitute as the rain falls. Could be set for more thrills and spills late here as we tick towards the final 15 minutes. Arate battling for possession. Stay with the Wanderers. A throw in enemy territory. Starts to really bucket down here in Rudy Hill. Abdul Rahman won't get there ahead of Ovens. Badalato. Koch. good football. Arate has a pop from distance. Didn't quite get enough on it, but it stays with the Wanderers again. Another wave of attack going their way. Arate is dragged back there by Cox, and I think that's going to attract a booking. He was given a warning earlier. And so Dom Cox receives a yellow card. And the Wanderers have a free kick in a very good position here. Right on the corner of the box. Can they take the lead for the second time tonight? Here comes the delivery. It's driven as hard, but it won't clear the first defender, Monaghan Viker. Cameron has a pop, and Kenny saw it all the way. And now they have to track back quickly because Shuriaga is looking to get a full head of steam on the break. Shuriaga will try and get there, but it was slightly too deep, and Vidakovic scrambled well. But the option was certainly on. Great release ball by Kenny. Badalado plays forward for Abdul Rahman, is beaten on the ball there by Grimaldi. Ovens into the feet of Vasquez. St. George City happy to just keep the ball now. They've done well despite being down a man. They've found spaces. They found their way back into this game. Courtesy of Solomon John Monaghan Viker. Kakaris is going to try and chase here. Vidakovic has to come out of his box and will try and let this roll down. Kakaris puts a little bit of pressure, but Vidakovic trusted himself, trusted the roll of the ball, and now they have a goal kick. So still no change in score over at Popondetta Park. The Mount Druitt Town Rangers lead the Wollongong Wolves. Franson. Oh, it's a potentially errant back pass. Vidakovic has to recover. Tilt put him under a bit of pressure there. And back to Tilt again. Now he has to find himself out of pressure with St. George City players sprinting at him. Arate is the free man in midfield. The Wanderers use their advantage. Players racing away down this left-hand side. Henderson ducks inwards. Has found the spare man on the wing. Cutting it back for Abdul Rahman. A massive chance there for the Wanderers. Put it straight at Jack Kenny. Great football by the Wanderers. They exploited the holes in St. George City's defence. Arate with a great pass to find Abdul Rahman. He's had a couple of opportunities in this game, and if the Wanderers don't go on with 3 points, I'll be thinking about that one. But nevertheless, they're showing that they can find this one. There is at least a goal in this game. It's too open to stay as it is. Grimaldi has found Kakaris, the substitute. Peter Kakaris flashes wide of the goal. Pop is found. He can turn. Now the holes are starting to appear. Some tired St. George City legs out there. Lawal is the target. It falls potentially for him, and well, the bounce, he couldn't control it. And now they have to clear St. George City, but the attacks just keep coming with Cameron. The rain is the heaviest it's been now. This will make things tricky for defences and keepers. Turned over cheaply in midfield by the Wanderers. Kakaris is really a lone man up ahead as Henderson goes to ground to win possession. Cameron, a cheeky back heel. Badalado now. The Wanderers moving it with real intent. Henderson. Kopp. Switch of play. Cameron in a bit of space. The Wanderers with a controlled spell of possession these last few minutes, and the commentators curse strikes as they turn it over. Shuriaga with some neat hold-up play to find Kikeris, but St. George City is set deep. And Sandy gets in the way of that pass to Askew. You sense now the numbers advantage of the Wanderers is going to take over in these final stages. They have the fresher legs. They haven't had to cover as much ground. And they're primed to really push for a win in these last 10 minutes. They shouldn't forget about St. George City's threat, though. They've shown more than enough, especially in this second half. Arate gets away from a defender. Now with Dallo Sandy, smartly left for Kopp. The Wanderers into the final third with Kopp. Sandy is the target. Only finds past the goal line for a goal kick. So another change coming here. The one Lawal will be replaced by Khan Nizam. And so that's the bench emptied for Richie Cardozo. One final roll of the dice. It's only gotten heavier, the rain at Wanderers Football Park now. Kenny going long. Meanwhile, there's another sub as well. St. George City with Curry coming off, replaced by Matthew Wabi. Kenny will play sweeper keeper here. Has to be careful with Nizam coming out. He took no chances, just sent it back upwards. Cox. Correction, the one Lawal is still out there. The man that came off wasn't him, it was Abdul Rahman. Clarkson. Dakota Askew has gone over to the other side now. He goes to work, takes deflection. And it'll be a St. George City corner as the wind and rain starts to whip up here. Perfect sort of weather to try and create a bit of chaos in the box. A slippage or a bobble or something that the 10 men of St. George City can get the benefit of. Kikeris, the man tasked with delivering this corner. In it goes. Peter Kikeris cleared away almost by Lawal, but didn't get enough on it. I think a slightest of touch from Lawal means it's going to be another corner. Did enough to divert it away from St. George City. So they've got another one from this near side to work with. Kikeris. This time the out swinging right-footed delivery. What can they do with this one, St. George City? It's low, it's flat, it's towards the penalty spot, it's flicked on towards... They're trying to turn here, St. George City. Trying to take the lead for the first time tonight, but Wanderers walk away from that set piece well. Turned over though, and now Kikeris is forward. Peter Kikeris, great sliding challenge by Franson, timed that to perfection. And now there's a bit of afters there. It's needless from Kikeris, and he's going to pick up a booking. And Franson is just shrugging his shoulders. It was a great challenge from Ricky Franson. Must be said, he's on a yellow himself, so he's wanting to stay out of any trouble. That door was slammed shut on that one-on-one opportunity for Kikeris. 7 minutes of regulation time remaining, plus stoppages, which we should have a decent amount of because of all the substitutes. Here goes Kikeris, another low and flat ball. Plenty of action in the box. It's bouncing away. Shuriaga's header is onto the arms of Vidakovic. Lawal. Wanderers have plenty of numbers forward here. Sandy just couldn't get it out of his feet. Now he plays one, but it's too easy for Kenny and City. But on the other side, Arate and Lawal were open for half a second, and that's the margin of this game. Both these teams in need of a win. St. George City 3 points behind the top 6 right now on the live ladder, looking to go just one with a win here. Meanwhile, the Wanderers looking to get back on level terms on the ladder with the Mount Druitt Town Rangers. They're firmly in 15th spot right now, 2 points away from assured safety. Wabi can't win it back. Lawal with a lovely pirouette in midfield. As Battleado finds Cameron, and the Wanderers can go forward, but things are starting to become frantic. The added intensity is certainly there. A real sense of urgency between both as Wabi's pass is picked off by Lockie Henderson. Cameron. Grimaldi's there to intervene. Clarkson. Goes over the top. Kikeris is the target. Has gotten the other side of tilt here and has done well, but can't keep it in. And Kikeris has to be careful with flashing out like that. It won't be classed as time wasting or anything like that, but of course he is on a yellow. So we'll want to keep his head in the final stages. Won't want to make it the 9 men of St. George City, of course. They've been playing with 10 for this entire half, plus a couple minutes of the first after their star striker Mark McNulty was sent off for an incident off the ball. As Henderson has some space to exploit here. First time pass down the line is asking a lot of Nizam. Askew. Grimaldi. Kikeris is holding up with tilt on his back. It's Clarkson, and they'll just recycle it against St. George City. Bounces up for Wabi. Won't skip above him on this damp surface now here at Wanderers Football Park. With Monahan Viker. Nodded back, Arate. With Askew committed forward, the Wanderers can burst down this right-hand flank. And get it back to Arate. First time ball, back post. Sandy is the man they want. Kenny got for it well. Time continues to tick for both of these sides to find a winner. An important winner as well in the context of their seasons. Still the Rangers lead at Popondetta Park against the Wolves. As Henderson takes no chances, but this will invite more pressure. And George City will have a throw just 5 metres away from the goal line. Potential long throw territory here. What do they have? Wabi goes short. Shiriaga twists and turns. Only runs into more Wanderers defenders as Lawal has to be careful he doesn't give it up, and he almost does. Now he has. Shiriaga. Henderson goes in strong, and now there's a bit of extras on the ground here. It's been a spicy affair, to say the least, between these two, notwithstanding that red card. So this is exactly the sort of position that St. George City will want to be in. They scored from a free kick on the other side earlier in this half. What can they do late here? Down to 10. Trying to keep their top 6 hopes alive. Kikeris, a good ball in towards the penalty spot. Franson clears. And now they eventually get it away. Much more convincingly this time as Arate knocks one up. Intended for Nizam, who's one-on-one isolated with his defender. And Wabi just takes no chances and puts that out of play. Lawal goes down in hope of a free kick. Won't have it coming his way. He has to, if he receives treatment here, it's going to be a tricky spot for the Wanderers. They have cleared their bench. Ovens tells Kikeris to go over the top. It's well met by Franson. Brought back on the floor by Henderson. Vidakovic takes the touch as Shiriaga goes to ground in chase. Ovens. Now Grimaldi. St. George City looking for an unlikely winner despite being down a man. Shiriaga bringing it to ground. Search of Clarkson. Can't quite create the shooting angle. Grimaldi, the bouncing ball. One back well by Nizam. Arate. Cox got there ahead of him though. Final minute of regulation time. Kakaris is in a bit of space here if he can get to the ball, but it'll just roll out of play. So all eyes turn to the fourth official as to how much time will be added on. How much time is left for either to claim 3 points. The draw is okay for the Wanderers. It keeps them slightly ahead of the Mariners, but not out of the bottom two as Cox charges forward. Back with Shuriaga. Conversely, a draw doesn't do all that much either for St. George City. They'll still be 3 points behind Olympic on the live ladder as the Wanderers turn it over on the counter. So it'll be 4 minutes of time added on. Plenty of time still in this one. Ovens in search of Shuriaga. Well won by Henderson. It's actually gone back into midfield, which might benefit St. George City, but the Wanderers have played their way through. Battleado is racing away. A heavy touch showed too much of it to Ovens, who slid in well to get there. Wabi is getting forward himself, looks to take on his man. Has gotten around Sandy. A good ball in, was looking for Shuriaga. Another attack coming for St. George City. What can they do? Cox. 1-2. Dom Cox. Still with Cox. Great challenge again. Cop sliding in the box to deny Cox. Clarkson with tricky feet in the corner here. City trying to create some space, and Wabi couldn't get his body out of the way of that. And Lara Hogan on the near side, well positioned to see any final touch. So it's interesting to what the mentality of both these two teams will be. A couple minutes to go. Battleado. Franson has spotted Cameron on the far side. This is where the numbers advantage really makes a difference for the Wanderers. Arate. And that has gone out of play. Actually went over the sideline. Henderson heads it onto the back heels of Matt Wabi. Sandy has got the other side of his man now and can take it forward. Just a couple minutes left here in the contest. Sandy has space to work with. Kopp sliding in was Monahan Viker. What a great game he has had. Certainly a strong contention for the 3-2-1s is Solomon John Monahan Viker. Kopp. Cameron. Still with Kopp. They have to be careful that they don't turn it over here with St. George City pressing, but now they have. Cox. They found their way through midfield. Wabi has bombed on forward. This could be a last potential chance for St. George City. They tee it up back post. Dakota Askew was there. It's come down for him. He looks to create a bit of space. Still with Dakota Askew. Vidakovic is quick at his near post. Was looking to thread the needle there. Now it's back with Cox. 20 yards out from goal. Couldn't create the shot. And now the Wanderers might think about a counter. Kopp is racing forward. Has Nizam and Lawal ahead of him. Khan Nizam. Has Sandy on the far side in a bit of space himself. Dallo Sandy twisted, turns, creates the shot. Only finds the back fence into the final minute of the allocated 4. Plenty of tired legs out there, and that's full time here at Wanderers Football Park. A goal apiece, a point apiece, in what puts a slight bit of breathing room between Wanderers and the Mariners below them in bottom spot, but with Mount Druitt set to pick up points at Popondetta Park, it means the Wanderers will be in the bottom 2 for another week. Meanwhile, St. George City still trail in the hunt for the finals. To rely on more points being dropped from teams above them with just 3 games to go in the NPL New South Wales men's season. So fantastic game all round. St. George City showed plenty of courage despite being down a man after the Wanderers had a very good first half, which saw them take the lead through Haitley's first ever first grade goal before Solomon John Monaghan-Vikel would equalise shortly after the halftime break. As both teams walk away with a point. I've been Will Constantinidis on behalf of Football New South Wales. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you back tomorrow for plenty more NPL action.